divorce, experiencing a breakup. Okay, so maybe this is applying to someone out there who's going through separation, a breakup, divorce. I guess I can talk about divorce for a second. I went through a 4-year high conflict, crazy, massive divorce from a sociopath with money. His parents were multi-millionaires. So imagine bottomless pockets with sociopathic people, like wanting to inflict as much pain and control on you as possible. You know what I mean? Through the kids, no real care or concern for the children, is using them as pawns. My daughter had emergency brain, she had a seizure at 10 years old, and I hop in the ambulance, call my ex-husband. We're in the middle of our divorce, right? Called him, said, Victoria, I was explaining what happened, meet me at the children's hospital. I'm at work. Don't call me again. I'm like, what? Your literal daughter has almost died. Like, she's having her skull's getting cut into right now. Like, okay. Enjoy your day at work. And then I get greeted at the hospital by social workers because he looked at that as how can I use this to my advantage, that my 10-year-old daughter is having emergency brain surgery. And they were so nice to me, though. They were like, we're so sorry. We've already talked to all the doctors. I mean, this was like a few days in, but they pulled me into a little office at the hospital. And like, we already know, we've talked to, because she had like a infectious disease doctor, a neurosurgeon. She had a team of like 5 different doctors for different specialties. We were in the children's hospital for over a month. And her dad only like came once to see her, and he knelt down and looked her in the eye when she was in her wheelchair. He's like, your mom did this to you. Like, who says that? Like, what is wrong with you, sir? But anyway, the social workers were like, we know that you did not do this to your daughter. We know that we've already talked to all the doctors. This has nothing to do with neglect or you being an unfit mother. We're so sorry we even have to like sit in this room with you and talk to you. But they closed the case immediately. But I'm just saying, like, there are really shitty people out there that it's just life, or divorces aren't always that ugly either. But in my case, it was bad. Like, I lived through 10 years of severe physical, psychological, like, abuse on every level. Just one extreme example I can give was, he came home from the casino. He had lost like 20 grand or something in a game. He thought he was going to be a World Series poker player, right? So that was what he did. He would always, I didn't know if or when he would come home. And sometimes he would fly to Vegas, and I thought he was at work and he'd be in Vegas. But we had a casino near our town, and he would always go there after work. But one time he lost a bunch of money, came home, walked in the door, like started screaming at me. And I'm just like, I knew at this point, 10 years being married to him, like how to like handle him. I remember being on the phone to like Women's Crisis, and they were like, you're in a red flag situation, get out. And that was 4 years before I left him. I was like, no, I know how to handle him. It's okay. I know how to survive in this environment. But anyway, he chased me. I started yelling about losing money or something. And then I grabbed my daughter. I think she was like a year old at the time, or 15 months old. I don't know. I was 9 months pregnant with my son, and my younger son, and ran to the bathroom, and like, I'm in the bathroom, locked in the bathroom with my other kids, and I'm holding the door closed even though it was locked, because he used to like unscrew the doorknob and like get in there and just start wailing on me. But bullets started flying over my head. Long story short, he literally shot a gun at me, and I was such a not brainwashed, but like a typical textbook domestic violence victim. That was me for 10 years, for my 20s. But I was grateful that he was never home. It was just when he was home, it was hell. But I was grateful to be able to be a stay-at-home mom and like raise my kids and pour into them in their formative years. But there was that major unsafe, toxic environment that I ignored because I thought divorce was so bad. My dad called me when he heard I was teamed up with Women's Crisis to find like a shelter they could hide us in, so we could hide and file a restraining order. And he said, don't come knocking on my door for help. Like, God hates divorce. You're going to burn in hell. I was like, yeah, Dad, I know. I don't even know why. I think I answered the phone. I didn't reach out to him, but he called me. It's like, I hear you're leaving your husband, and I just want you to know that how disappointed I am in you, and you're a disgrace to our family name, and you're going to burn in hell. I was like, yeah, I know. I won't be, don't come knock on my door for help. I'm like, understood. When have I ever asked you for a thing in my life ever? Me and your 3 little grandkids, who were 4, 7, and 9 at the time, we will be, reaching out to the state for help, Women's Crisis for Domestic Violence Victims. Anyway, so I got out of that situation, but it was 10 years of hell. Well, 7 years of hell, because I left before. And then we had like 4 years of divorce court stuff. But, gosh, I didn't mean to go on that tangent. Divorce, even with all that I was severely neglected. Like, I was never there. And people have asked me, like, well, surely there were good times. I'm like, no, on our little honeymoon, he told me he wished he'd never married me. When we get home, we're going to get it annulled. Crazy. But anyway, so God hates divorce is what I grew up being told, and that the wife should submit to her husband and be his servant. Basically, my existence, the reason for my existence was to serve others. And so that's why I'm saying it's not selfish to heal. It's not selfish to put yourself first. It's not selfish for you to fill your own cup and make sure that you are the only one responsible for your emotional needs, your physical needs. Like, I know people say hyper independence is toxic, but you know what? No one's going to take care of you but you. Like, if other people choose to take care of you, you can allow that and be grateful and thankful and gracious. But it's really not anyone else's responsibility to take care of your needs as a human being. Make sure that you're good and that you come from a place of strength so that you can be, if you choose to be, if you feel in your heart and you want to be of service to others because it's on your heart, not because you're guilted into it or brainwashed or told you're going to go to hell for if you're not serving enough, or anyway. But everything comes back to knowing who you are, knowing your identity, and knowing when your battery's low, knowing what you need to kind of equal out when you're off kilter. I've caught myself even very recently feeling emotionally just like I got like blindsided recently, and I just had to like go within and ask myself, okay, Susanna, what do you need? Okay, this is what happened. Why do you feel this way? What in your childhood mirrors this? And what could you give to your younger version, and what can you give to yourself today to, heal from this and move forward with confidence and learn from it. And I always look for a lesson in everything. Anyway, divorce. It's never, ever, ever an easy thing. And for people probably look at me like, why did you stay? Or they try to like shame the victim, the domestic violence victim. Like, well, you stayed or whatever. And it's like, that's such a shitty thing to say to someone who survived hell. Like, come on, man, have some compassion. Like, people just get in situations there are a million reasons, in my scenario, it was religious shame, programming, and my own childhood trauma of being a people pleaser and not wanting to let others down, or my identity was tied up in how good of a wife I was. I would literally like pray over my husband in his sleep, put my hands on him and like pray over him and ask God to like heal our marriage and turn his heart towards him. I have like I still have like a box of like self-help books for how to be a godly wife and serve your husband. And anyway, my point being, there's a lot of reasons. Divorce is so tricky, and it's such a shame trigger. It's a shame point, and it shouldn't be, because there are people grow apart, people change. I have good friends that I went to high school with who've been together for 30 years, and they're doing what's called conscious uncoupling because, they love each other. They have a history. My friend was like, what do I do with all our things? And she was like, it's so sad. And I'm like, you're not throwing it in the trash. I go, think of it as retiring all these memories into like the Hall of Fame. 30 years of history is not nothing. Like, that's not something you just delete. You don't hit the delete button on it. You honor it. Even though you're both choosing to not move forward in life together, it doesn't mean you don't still have love for each other as human beings, and you've both raised kids together and endured so much in life. And I don't want to like go into more details about their life, but like the point being, like, not all divorces are not all marriages are abusive, and there are some where people just, you get married before your brain's even fully developed, right out of high school. And my son's girlfriend or ex, she broke up with him, and like 2 days later posted a picture in a swimming pool, some other dude, and then she just married him the other day, like a week ago or something. But I was like, yeah, that's not going to end well. I mean, maybe I'm pessimistic, but because there are high school sweethearts who still to this day, I guess, are, but you work through, it's the willingness to work through your issues and to grow together. But oftentimes there's no shame in it if you just if you both acknowledge, like, okay, maybe we're better off like being a support to each other on a friendship, on like an honoring level of like, we've been through so much in life, like we have this history, we have, you know what I mean? And if you're watching and if you're in that situation, you know exactly what I'm trying to say. And then there are other scenarios like my own where it was just pure hell, and I got out with my fucking life, and my kids are alive and I'm alive, and the abuse didn't stop there. Then he used the courts, and we'd get random. To this day, when somebody knocks on our door, me and my kids still panic. Like, it's like PTSD from people knocking on our doors, because he would call CPS on us all the time just to make life hell for me. I don't know. Anyway, he was constantly. So even, thank God my kids are grown and I never have to deal with him again. But there are people like that where you find yourself having a family, getting married, finding yourself in a really, really unhealthy, unsafe situation. And then there are marriages that aren't actually like unsafe, but they're not healthy, or they're not modeling true connection to your kids. And those kids will grow up saying, I never want to get married. Why would I get married? Not because their parents fought or hurt each other, but because it was just like modeled a roommate situation, or there's no love, or it's just like, what's the point? And I have friends to this day who won't get married because they were raised seeing their parents just tolerate one another. So, but there is a lot of shame around divorce. So if this is you, if you are going through a separation, a breakup, or divorce, I want you to know that it's not what you're feeling right now it's not a forever feeling. It sucks. And it feels like you can't see 2 feet in front of you right now. And it feels like the walls are caving in on you and you can't breathe at times, but you will get through it. Life is just going to be rearranged. If you have kids, it's just going to look different. And you might even find yourself like enjoying the new, if you are going through a divorce, and you're both healthy people, it's actually nice to team up and take care of the kids, but be in your own safe space and have your own peaceful environment where you each can have your own relationship with your kids. And a lot of times the kids come out much happier in that way. But yeah, sorry, I don't know what I was thinking about. I was thinking about my own kids. I didn't realize there was more abuse after my divorce, but I remember when they were little, and they would come back from time with their dad and tell me all the awful things. And I said, I don't want to hear it. Your time with your dad is your time with your dad, and he's responsible for his relationship with you. And when you're with mom, we're with mom, and we're going to make our own memories, and we're going to choose joy and happiness. And but I guess with abusive people, I regret saying that, because I didn't know there was more abuse happening at when they would go to his house. But that's really a specific situation. But for normal, healthy people who choose to just, we're not happy, let's be happy. Let's figure out how we can be happy and work together on making sure everybody's happiness and health is a priority, and go their separate ways and work together to make sure their kids are happy. That's different. But it does give you more freedom to give yourself what you need to meet your needs. And then in turn, that also strengthens you to be a better parent as well. Date night. Speaking of, it does free up a little bit of time for your hobbies, your interests, maybe even dating post-divorce, because life does get beautiful again. I think I saw another card that was like a date night in here. Yeah, this one. Look at that. Almost identical cards. Yeah, love is not lost. It's not dead. You're not destined to a life of misery, stuck in a marriage where everybody's unhappy and it's just, there's no hope for reviving it. I mean, I'm a huge proponent, I'm like a huge supporter of like, do everything you can to make it work, but sometimes nobody wants to try anymore. Sometimes it is what it is. But it does get beautiful. You can take steps out of a situation because that doesn't define who you are. That's where I was going. Your circumstances don't define who you are. But life will get beautiful again. If you see yourself right now going through a divorce, breakup, separation, or if you're just single and you feel lonely, just feel what you need to feel. Put yourself out there when you're ready, when it feels healthy. If you have kids, obviously I wouldn't recommend introducing them to anybody, until they're well acclimated to the new dynamics of separation and separate homes. And but eventually in time, you will have opportunities to find someone who just gets you. And there's this connection. I mean, I remember thinking I was doomed to just live my life because I didn't believe in divorce. So I was like, that's not an option. I endured so much abuse too, like so much. I'm not going to go into all of it, but it was relentless. And I stayed. Whenever I wanted to leave him, I would look up focusonthefamily.com. It's a Christian website about like families, Christian families, and how divorce hurts the kids. And so I stayed for the kids, and I regret doing that because I kept them in an unsafe situation because of religious shame or societal shame, and on the outside, I had Facebook at the time. I projected this image of stay-at-home mom and little parties that I'd throw and park dates and play dates. And, we lived at the end of our little cul-de-sac and had our cute house and our Volvo SUV, and life looked pretty damn pretty from the outside looking in, but it was hell behind closed doors. Literally lucky I got out alive. And that is not that's not staying for the kids. That's crazy. Anyway, but I gotta think back to old me and like with compassion also. But I'm just saying, staying for the kids is a lie. Don't do that because they're smart. They're smart. I remember my daughter was like 5 years old, and whenever we went through this tunnel in Portland on the way to the zoo, it's like a really long like tunnel. I'm like, okay, everybody hold your breath, make a wish. And we'd hold our breath and I'd lean on the horn through the tunnel. And then, okay, let out your breath at the end of the tunnel. And my daughter's like, Mommy, I wish for a good man to love you someday. Not a bad man like Daddy, not one who will hurt you. And I was like, oh, I thought I hit it. I thought I did a good job of like managing their perception of, we love Daddy. Like, so kids know, they know. Plus, I mean, they did see all the abuse as well, but commitment. Things are getting serious. So if you are dating after a time of heartbreak or divorce or separation, there could be, somebody could be getting proposed to. Ooh, things are getting serious. We have little wedding rings here. Commitment. Ooh la la. Okay. Congratulations if that's you. I'm sure you feel it energetically that it's coming if it is you. That's so sweet. Oh, I was actually thinking about my wedding the other day, and I don't know, I woke up, I want to say like 3 or 4 days ago, I woke up with like vivid memories of it. I was thinking about, all this. I found the cutest little church in the country with a big tall steeple, and it maybe held 100 people, and our wedding was maxed out because he and I went to Christian school together. Like everybody knew both our families, but, and my friend's sisters played the violin for us. Anyway, and I was thinking about, Oh, and how our song, like when we walked down the aisle, didn't play. And so I started singing it. Like it was awkward. We're standing up there and like the music wasn't playing for us to like, after we said our vows. I belted out singing the words and grabbed him and dragged him out of the church. And then our honeymoon was in Lake Tahoe. And I was thinking about how everything was just not good and how he didn't give me any money or a room key. I remember sitting just in the hallway outside our locked room while he played poker. And I was pregnant at the time with my daughter. Or like on our little yacht boat thing where he was drinking Long Island's and telling me how he wished he never married me on our honeymoon. But, and I'm not saying this to say poor me, but I was thinking about all these things the other day and I was just like, you know what? And I don't know why I had such like love in my heart for, maybe love is too strong a word. I don't know. But like I had this like feeling of just like forgiveness. There it is. The word is forgiveness. I said it out loud. I'm like, I forgive you. And I named my ex-husband. I named his mom, his sister. Oh, because his sister, I handed her my camera before I walked down the aisle because I was taking pictures with my bridesmaids and girls that I grew up with since I was a little girl. Like all these pictures from my wedding, and she lost the camera. So no wedding photos, but they were just really nasty. My in-laws, my sister-in-laws and my mother-in-law, they were like the epitome of like mean girl culture. But that's okay. That's their choice to be that way, and they have their own life lessons. And I literally like said it out loud. I forgive you. I thought of the camera thing, how she just happened to just misplace my camera that had all the pictures. I said, I forgive you for that. And I got so specific. I was so weird. I just woke up with these vivid memories of my shitty wedding and my shitty honeymoon, my shitty marriage. And I just had this moment of like true forgiveness. And I'm getting like teary eyed right now, but like true forgiveness. And I just released it all. And yeah, anyway, I know I'm crying. Then we have fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sag. So this could be a fire sign that you could be a fire sign that you are leveling up your level of commitment with somebody you just, and and you want to just do life with someone and they feel safe and your nervous system regulates when you're around them. They say like soulmates, when you give eye contact or hear their voice, it's like instantaneous and So I hope somebody watching has that experience and is committing to someone who is safe and is reciprocal and kind and loving, and you both fill each other's cups. I mean, it's your responsibility. Ultimately, you're responsible for your own like emotional well-being, and it's a bonus to have someone in your life to walk through. But sometimes I picture like a relationship someday that I'll find someone who will be able to pour into me as much as I pour into them. And like when my battery's low and theirs is filled, like we just kind of offset each other. You know what I mean? Like just teamwork. It sounds so cheesy, but a team, like being literally like ride or die type energy. Success. Okay. So if this is you and you've been through hell and back, had a past divorce, breakup, whatever, you've had past experiences regarding your heart and love, and maybe there's some fear creeping in because the commitment is like the stakes are high now, it's leveling up, and maybe that triggers some fears from your past. Just rest assured that this is a true connection where you're going to like light each other's spark. You ever seen those candle reels where like a candle isn't, oh gosh, I don't know, where like one's burning low? It just takes a little tiny spark and you both are just a light. So just being a strength for one another and not putting all the weight, all the burden on one end of the partnership. This is really reciprocal, equal. Look at the symmetry in this. It's just so equal. If you were to like, it's like a mirror image. If you draw a line down the center of this card, I guess without the lanterns, it's ignore the tree with the lanterns. So like the candles, the wine, the flower petals, the chairs, like it's just equal, give and take, pouring into one another. Let's